What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Trainwreck Sports Podcast, where we're not here to play games. We're not here to play the slots. We're not here to play school. We're here to talk Big Ten football, college football. It's back. Jake Majka joined again for another year by my brother, Alex Majka. It's also his birthday. Happy birthday,
Oh,
Alex.
thanks.
What a day for you. The eve of college football Saturday, and we're here recording live.
It'll be even better next year when my birthday is on the actual first Saturday of college
Well,
football. It'll be next year. That's the top one.
that's true. That is
Yeah.
true. You will be living large on your birthday next year. But we're here this year. We've got a lot of fun games to talk about. Let's get right into it. I mean, let's talk about just the expectations for the season first. Like, I didn't make any predictions. I didn't make any playoff predictions or anything for this. Do you have like a final four in the top of your head? Do you have any surefire playoff teams? Do you have anything that you're very sure of kicking off the season? And Gatesy gave you a nice happy birthday wish as well here. All the birthday wishes for Mo.
Thank you.
Also, Army and Tarleton State has looked like a pretty crazy game so far, and you never know with the.
Well,
the armed forces.
I thought before you were going to say about any predictions, I thought you were going to try to lead us in with yesterday. We had some great action going on.
We did.
We had our Mike Bunt covering Ohio Rutgers, driving out to New Jersey to watch his alma mater. He had put up a valiant effort against Rutgers, coming back from being down 14 points in the second half, and almost coming away with that one. But we had UB try valiantly against Minnesota, but the offense just couldn't get anything going. Predictions for the year: Penn State, Texas national championship.
Wow.
I won't give you the top four. I'll just give you the top two right there.
Penn State, Texas no bias detected at all there. I think that you're probably it's as good a bet as anything else, though. I mean, we're really going to find out a lot tomorrow about both those teams. Number one, the team that Texas lost to end their season last year, and Penn State's hurdle that they've been trying to get over, Ohio State. So
for 9 seasons now, yeah. So
it feels like, though, more of a wide open year than a lot of these playoff years, just because we have Penn State and Texas and Clemson, who are teams with returning quarterbacks, teams that there's a lot of high hopes for, but teams that have just the last couple of years lost in these big moments, right? Like, they haven't been able to get over that hump, especially a Penn State and a Texas. You have Georgia, who's going to be excellent, but we don't know what to expect from Gunnar Stockton this year and that offense and everything else. Alabama is a huge unknown going into this year. Notre Dame, a tougher schedule than last year. Maybe they're, again, a playoff team, maybe not. LSU, like, a lot of hype around LSU, a lot of hype around Miami, who we're going to talk about a couple times here. Like,
returning quarterback in LSU also, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot. I feel like there's just so much uncertainty heading into the season for the hierarchy, and maybe it just ends up being the usual suspects, and we're talking about Ohio State and Georgia and, maybe Michigan back up top and Notre Dame, but it feels like there could be some more chaos this year. So I'm excited about it. Let's get into it, though, because we've got the biggest kickoff game in history, basically. I mean, that's what it's being billed as. It's got to be, though, right? Like, I think it has to be the biggest game on campus, Ohio State and Texas. What do you think?
I mean, it's definitely one of the biggest. I remember just a few years ago, it was 2021. So yeah, COVID season after COVID, and we had Georgia and Clemson to kick off, and both those teams obviously had been perennial playoff performers. Clemson coming off of 2 years before being in the national championship game and being a playoff team, and Georgia coming off their first national championship that they had picked. Oh no, actually it was Bama's, but coming off being a playoff team once again. So that was a massive matchup. But this one definitely, it's being billed as that, and especially because I think we just talked about right away, it's Lee Corso's last game that he's going to be last game day. And so it's added expectation because of that, because it's this person who has been a mascot of college football for 40 years now, and it's going to be his last time coming out and putting on a mascot head. So I think just added weight to that is brought it all to the forefront.
The Corso of it all is going to be emotional. I can't believe Fox. I mean, I can believe, like, good on Fox and ESPN for figuring out a way to do this, but it's kind of crazy that they're going to show the headgear on Fox as like it just putting differences aside, putting all the basically the television rights war that's happening between the Big Ten and the SEC for that kind of moment. It's going to be great. It's going to be great to see. I have no problem with this game being, I don't have as much of a problem with Big Noon as other people do. It would be nice if this was a night game, but I think having Corso in the stadium or right outside that atmosphere ready to go with him, it's going to be a great scene and it's just a great way to kick off a college football, the first real Saturday of college football with this kind of game and this kind of hype around it and everything else. But let's talk about the game itself because it's a hugely important game for both teams. Obviously, their playoff hopes wouldn't be dashed one way or the other. The all-time series tied at 2-2. Last game in the Horseshoe was a classic with Vince Young throwing a touchdown to Limas Swede to seal the deal there. They also played the year after that, Texas Ohio State at Austin, and now they're back here at Ohio State. They played, but the most recent matchup was the Cotton Bowl last year, where obviously Ohio State beat Texas in the semifinal, then moving on to the national title game against Ohio State. We all remember the big interception return that really flipped that game there. But this is a big difference this year because not Quinn Ewers playing quarterback. It's Arch Manning time. How long has college football and the sporting world been talking and waiting for Arch Manning to come? Like, I feel like I first heard about Arch when he was in like 8th grade, bro. Like, we're literally like, it's like 6 years ago that Arch Manning was like put on my brain for the first time. And here he is debuting. It's a lot of expectations though, not just on Arch, but this Texas team in general for who they've brought in, for what they've been able to do the last couple of years, and just feels like this is the year for it to shape up if he kind of delivers. Let's start with Arch before we get into some Ohio State talk. We've seen him a little bit with Texas last year, but not against any major competition. Brings more of more athleticism than you expect from a typical Manning. We're talking about Eli and Peyton. Like, they're going to move around a lot. They're going to let him run the ball, I would think, a little bit. But do you have high expectations for him? Or are you a little worried about this? This is a crazy environment to start your, in earnest, start your college career as a starting quarterback.
Obviously, like a little bit of like nerves for him, but I think it was such a blessing in disguise last year when Quinn actually went out for a few games and he was able to get those starts. I know not in the same capacity as week 1, you're playing in the Horseshoe on Big Noon kickoff where probably like 15 million people are going to be watching this game. Not the exact same, but I mean, he got a start on the road against like Arkansas last year. He got a start at home and obviously knows, in front of 100,000 people. So he's at least gotten gotten his feet wet in these scenarios a little bit. And you're right, he is way more athletic. But you gotta think, he's not Eli or Peyton's kid, he's Cooper's kid. And Cooper was always the better athlete than those brothers. So I mean, it makes sense. I think the bigger thing we're gonna be interested to see is how the rest of the team kind of steps up, because we've seen what Arch can do in like at least small percentages, but it's a very new receiver room. Ryan Wingo is gonna be, true sophomore. We'll see what happens. He's got to step up. DeAndre Morza Jr., who had limited time last year. Jamie French is a big 5-star that they have coming in. We'll see what he can do. But really, outside of like Quintravion Wisner, their running back, they're not returning a lot of production. Even Arch with his couple of starts last year, not that much production that he had going on. So that's gonna be the bigger thing. If they can get into a good groove off the bat, and if Arch can, then I think they can easily take charge.
Our mother is chiming in here. Huge game. Happy about the VY shout out. Of course, that was for you as much as anything, Mom. I wouldn't have been watching that game if it wasn't. Actually, we were watching in separate rooms at that point. Various reasons. We won't have to get into the lore of that. But it was a big game.
20 years ago. It's like
20 years ago.
I think is it the 13th? It's like September 13th, 20 years ago, I think.
Yeah, something. I think because I think it was a week. Yeah, it was a couple weeks in that game.
Yeah.
But there's every reason to expect Texas to be able to compete, even though that they've lost a lot of talent. But on the other side of the ball, it's a lot more question marks for
Yeah.
Ohio State. Now they have a guy who's not a question mark at all. He's probably the best player in college football, Jeremiah Smith.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, he would be the first overall pick in the draft this year. He might have been one of the top 5 pick last year if he came out.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore. It's
It's insane. He's gonna have an impact on this game. But the biggest question is Julian Sayin, who's a former 5-star recruit. He was number 3 in 2024. High end quarterback prospect. But Ohio State last year, Will Howard, right? Like they didn't go to one of these young guys. They wanted to bring in a veteran transfer guy and kind of just be in win now mode, and it worked out. Will Howard was excellent throughout the year, specifically when they needed him to be during the playoff, and they won a national title. But now it's really like, okay, this is a new era for Ohio State. We're really resetting here. No Quinshon, like you said, no Judkins, no Travion Henderson at running back. A lot of turnover on the defensive side of the ball as well. They had a lot of guys off that defensive line specifically go. But this is still Ohio State, right? Like this is still like I don't care like about the talent loss, because I feel like they're just gonna we know what they do. They're just gonna re-up with guys who are gonna be stars at their positions anyway. So the real question is saying, like, what's he made of? Like it's not, and that's like, that seems dramatic, but like this is a huge test. Game 1, you step in and you have to, even though you're home, like all the lights are on. Maybe all the lights are on Arch, but
he's never been in a situation like this before.
Yeah,
either.
And Arch is ready Arch has been literally mentally prepared for the spotlight his whole life, and so this is just it's interesting to see, because if you could think, if you're a guy in that mindset, putting yourself, it's like back against the wall, me against the world. A lot of people thrive with that. But we're going to learn a lot about him, I think, just by honestly the body language and how confident he looks running that offense, running it. I'm sure there'll be nerves early on, but if he's able to settle in, Ohio State has a good chance of winning this game, just because it's going to be hard for Arch in his start to go on the road, and just me envisioning them walking out of there with a win. But I also thought that even though that Michigan team was disappointing last year, we didn't know how disappointing they were going to be. We had the same concerns when Texas walked into the Big House last year. Specifically about the physicality that could be brought, and Texas brought the physicality. And I think that Texas has an opportunity to bring the physicality again to Ohio State. What do you think? Let's talk prediction. We've talked a lot about this game.
The one thing that I neither of us have mentioned yet is, we're talking about Jeremiah Smith, possibly the best player in college football, certainly like one of the best offensive players. Caleb Downs, the safety for Ohio State, probably one of the best defensive players, or one of the best players in college football. So really, you have those two bookends for your offense and defense that are going to make a huge difference in this game. Obviously, Texas, not to underestimate, Texas is loaded with talent also. I mean, 5 stars, 4 stars up and down this roster, which with more experience. And like, I get what you're saying about Ohio State just reloading with a great recruiting class again, which they always do. They're great at that. But this is week 1. A lot of those guys are new. Are they going to be able to get up to the speed fast enough that these Texas guys have in this first game, and then and keep up with them? It's probably not, realistically. And that's probably why a lot of Ohio State fans were like, I wish this was like a week 3 game, because we would get real-time reps for our guys to get up to the college football, the actual speed of the game, and not just practice where they're hitting each other, and be ready for a Texas team. You're coming in now against not a deep veteran Texas team, but guys who have reps and have been in college for 1 or 2 years, or in some cases 3 years already, who have that experience. So Arch got to protect the ball. Caleb Downs going to be a big factor. So we'll see what the passing game can do. But in the same sense, obviously Ohio State churns out great wide receivers. They lost to Mika Ibuka last year, who along with Jeremiah Smith was one of the best tandems. So if you can take away Smith even for a little bit, I would still expect Jeremiah Smith to get like 100 yards in this game, just because he's a freak athlete. But if you limit him to 100 yards, that he's like, and everyone else is kind of trying to fight for the scraps, then Texas is in a good spot.
It's true. That's true. So what do you got? What's your prediction?
I'm gonna go with Texas just because I don't think it's gonna be any like kind of blowout. I mean, that game against Michigan last year was a blowout, but they same thing. They started slow. I would take Texas, but it would be like I'm trying like it's gonna be low. I want to see like 21-10.
Yeah, I mean the over under
maybe like 17-10 even. Like it's the over is 47.5, right?
Yeah, so it's low. I agree with you. I think this is I think anybody who's expecting fireworks from this game is going to be sorely mistaken. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be conservative play calling, honestly, for two guys with new quarterbacks. I'm also picking Texas. I think I'm going to go. I think it's going to be first team to 20. So I think I'm going to go 23-17 Texas here.
I mean,
a lot of field goals in this game coming up.
I mean, we'll talk about this in a second, but this is him, but seriously, I really do think Arch's ready. He's been ready for a while. They're well coached. We'll see. They're well coached. That's what I wanted to say. First season in a few years without Jim Knowles for this Ohio State defense.
Yeah.
New defensive coordinator after losing one of the best in the country. And we can slide right into our next game with that.
Yep.
Penn State, Nevada, the number 2 team in the country, which is not playing a big opponent. And they are favored by like 45 points, I think.
43.5 for the number 2 team in the country.
Not a lot to say about this game, honestly.
But let's talk about, we don't have to talk about the game as much here, but this is more important talking about Penn State in general, because as you're saying here, well, first of all, the big thing, Jim Knowles coming over from Ohio State to take over at Penn State for the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of feelings from both sides from both fan bases about that. Ohio State fans are obviously not happy about that. Penn State fans are obviously doing a little victory dance about it. And Knowles was able to get a big. He's able to kind of turn that defense around. And there was a lot of, when he first came to Ohio State, there was a lot of trepidation about him early on. Like there was a lot, and there's always angst and trepidation from the Ohio State fan base. Another happy birthday, Alex Micah. Don't wish this man happy birthday right now. And also we got Lori chiming in here. Sadly, first game of the season, always a crapshoot. Hope Texas pulls out. Well, this game is especially a crapshoot. Going back to the -1.5, they're giving it as much of a crapshoot as it can be. But Knowles being there, and just Penn State's always gonna have a defensive, a strong defensive front, a strong defensive recruiting class. Like it's been the theme for them for years and years and years. Weaponizing it the right way is the most important thing. And Knowles is a guy. It's not just doing it against, Iowa or, Indiana. No, I shouldn't say Indiana anymore, but like Northwestern. Like it's not just about suffocating all these Big Ten teams. It's doing it in the big games and getting the key stops in those moments. And I just think Knowles is such a smart play caller defensively as much as anything. And that really opens up a lot of things for Penn State this year as you look ahead to this team. And the biggest question is going to come down to, though, it's going to be Drew Aller and the receivers. It's what held them back last year, right? And if they can have a little bit more consistency and explosiveness through that game, they have Kaytron Allen and Nick Singleton are going to be the best running back duo in the country. Singleton is getting a little bit of Heisman love from some people as dark horse candidate and everything else. So they're going to be able to run the ball. But in these big games, as they come around, when Penn State's at Ohio State, when Penn State hosts Oregon early in the season, it's going to come down to Aller not making mistakes and being able to play above his means a couple times and help that offense move the ball. That's the biggest question for me more than anything else. But they are also, as we talked about right at the beginning of this pod, they are one of the teams who is bringing back an experienced quarterback. And that bodes well for you in modern college football more than ever. It seems the last couple of years that teams with that kind of continuity, specifically at that position, makes a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, Drew, just specifically I don't know for the country, but specifically in the Big Ten, Drew is the leading returning passer, and Singleton and Kaytron are both the leading, are 1 and 2 for returning rushers. I think Kaytron, it had like a few more yards than him, like by like 20 yards or whatever. So they're just bringing back so much experience. That was the thing. They got these guys to buy in. The fact that Singleton and Katron have committed at the same time and have stayed for 4 years together, where they're splitting carries in this era of college football, where guys want to get their own so that they can get out there and put that tape out and go to the NFL. The fact that they've stayed this whole time together. Drew came back for the year when people were talking about that he could go and he would get drafted and maybe as a day 2 pick. Dennis Sutton, who kind of fell to the wayside a little bit because Abdul Carter was such a force last year, but is easily a top defensive end in the country. All these guys coming back to because they believe that they have unfinished business. And like you're saying about the receivers, that's what I would expect heavy in this game. Is we know what we have in Singleton and we know what we have in Katron. This is a game for Drew to build chemistry with those 3 transfer wide receivers who are their starters: Trey Pena from Syracuse, Kyron Hudson from USC, and Devontae Ross from Troy. This is the time. Troy, right? Yeah, it's Troy.
Yes.
To build a rapport with them. And I don't want to say a tune-up game because I don't. You shouldn't go in and underestimate anybody. But if they're playing Nevada close, then we got a lot of questions going on early in the season, especially with that spread that they have, which I think is a little too high. That's kind of wild for me, but the game to do it, build that rapport. You know what you have with the tight ends too, like Khalil Dinkins, who hasn't been a starter the last couple of years, obviously, because he was behind Tyler Warren and Brenton Strange, but has a decent amount of touchdown catches in his career, decent amount of catches, is a good blocker. We know what we have with him too. So build this rapport with the wide receivers. The defense, interesting to see, but people are talking about, Ohio State fans were like, oh, Jim Knowles' defense, it takes a couple years for that to set in. These guys who have been here for 4 years now, this is their 3rd defensive coordinator that they've had in the 4 years they've been there. They had Manny Diaz and they had Tom Allen last year, and now they got Jim Knowles, and they have still been cream of the crop, one of the best defenses in the country. These guys are fucking smart, and they know what they need to do. And I'm sure it's not this magical thing that Jim Knowles' defense is so hard for any of these people to understand for them to pick it up. So I'm excited. It's obviously it's a lot of expectations, and it's a lot of James Franklin's a choke artist, never going to get it done. It's like, you know what? You can say that for any of these people until they get it done. How many active coaches are national champions right now? 2 or 3. Kirby Smart, Dabo, and Ryan Day. Only 3 active coaches with their national champions. But oh my God, because James Franklin hasn't won one, he's a fucking loser.
And a 6-time Super Bowl champion in Bill Belichick. Let's not get it twisted.
You're right. But people were saying about the same thing about Ryan Day. He can't get it done.
No, you're right.
Oh, you can win the Big Ten, but you can't win in the playoffs. Until he did, and he won a national championship. So it's like I understand worries about Penn State in these big games. Listen, it wasn't like they got blown out by Notre Dame. They lost on a field goal after a boneheaded interception, and that's tough. That's a tough way to lose that game. But you lost by a field goal to a really good Notre Dame team. You beat 2 good teams that were also playoff contenders. Those are big games. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody could come in the playoff and get fucking shit on. They didn't. They came in and won those 2 games and then lost by a field goal on a neutral field where their receivers couldn't catch a ball to save their lives. So I'm not writing them off as they're this cursed team that's never going to be able to do anything.
That's fair. I think that's fair. We'll see what happens. I don't know
a lot about Nevada. I'm going to admit, I don't really know a lot about Nevada.
Well, this is their highest ranked opponent in history, and it's a first ever meeting. So that's what we got here.
That. Yeah.
That's what we got here. So we'll see. They'll see what happens on CBS tomorrow. Going to be fun, big, fun atmosphere, obviously in Beaver Stadium. But we got to talk. You mentioned it a little bit at the top. I was going to save it for this segment because you had Ball State and Purdue on here. But let's talk a little bit about the Big Ten versus action we had last night. Because the most interesting game was that Ohio. Shout out to Mike Bunt, who was there live watching his Ohio Bobcats. And they put on a hell of a fight. They were down 31-7 at halftime, fight all the way back. And they got Rutgers down to 4th and 7 with a chance to get the ball back. And I really didn't think Rutgers was going to go for it. The ballsy move to go for it on that 4th and 7, but great play call, great decision there in hindsight, obviously by Greg Schiano, and Rutgers was able to escape with a 34-31 win. In other action last night, well, not MAC versus Big Ten, but Akron and Wyoming in a 10-0 barn burner was just one of the worst, best football games you've ever seen. And it's just a beautiful start to the college football season on a Thursday night by having that game go on. But the other Big Ten action, Wisconsin shutting out Miami of Ohio, but you got to be a little concerned with Wisconsin's offense, who just it was 3-0 at halftime. They got a couple touchdowns in the second half, but just a really
their starting quarterback
affair.
Billy Edwards went out of the game with a leg injury, but in the second quarter. But even before that, obviously that was only the 3-0. It wasn't looking too good for them. But yeah, Wisconsin definitely needs to find that. Luke Fickell, I've got to think, on the hot seat a little bit. They're coming into this season, coming in with I think he was a 13-13 record.
Yeah.
And so now 14-13, but not a great start to his tenure at Wisconsin.
Yeah, someone said I saw a tweet last night that was said Luke Fickell's going to look good at Ohio State next year as their whatever role he's getting. So it's not looking good for Wisconsin there. I think a lot of it is just it's tough to recruit there, and it's probably especially in this NIL age where they're having to compete with the Minnesotas and the Iowas and everything out there compared to even the other Big Ten schools that they're now dealing with Oregon and USC and Washington. And
I know his first year Fickell's first year at Wisconsin, that what was that 2023, that recruiting class, the top 5 players in Wisconsin, 3 of them were going to Penn State.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that their best coach in recent history is now coaching Illinois, and all the recruiting, groundwork that he did to build up that Wisconsin team to make them into the team that they were. He's just using it for Illinois, and it's all the same recruiting ground. Like Wisconsin was getting skill players from Illinois and big boys from Wisconsin to fill out that roster. And now those guys are just playing at Illinois rather than going to Wisconsin. So it's tough scenes. There was always, with this turnover in the Big Ten, there was going to be a team that really took it, that you didn't think about, that was going to be impacted that much. And I think Wisconsin's unfortunately that team, because it seems like a lot of other teams are set up better for now and for the future. And that is another team, Minnesota, who, even though they didn't blow out Buffalo last night, I think that says more about the Buffalo Bulls and the team that we should expect them to be, specifically defensively. Red Murdoch was all over the fucking field again last night. He's gonna lead college football in tackles probably this year. Like it's insane what he's able to do on the defensive side of the ball. A little worried about Taquan Roberson. I tried not to mention it too much to my UB friends that the first time I saw him, he looked like a complete deer in headlights, and he never really took a starting job after that. But he had some nice plays, and I think in MAC play, especially the way they were able to run the ball last night against Minnesota and lean on them at times in that game. Once they get into MAC play, like, they're going to be able to lean on some teams.
And that was, I would think, LJ Henderson, who was a good running back and I think he had 1,000 yards last year, was a second team All-MAC. He did not look good, very, very good last night. They were getting runs a little bit with Roberson and with their other running back. But I think he'll figure it out. It was honestly a stifling Minnesota front that was kind of locking them up a little bit. But they got Victor Snow going a little bit. That was ideal. Roberson did seem to settle in, honestly, by that third quarter. But I think it was just a little too late at that point. But no, that defense looks great. Red Murdoch, at halftime, I think he had 10 tackles and a sack already.
Yes.
And 1 pass breakup, which is just insane. Minnesota side, though, they're running. They put these running backs into the ground. Darius Taylor was coming up limping on every play, and PJ Fleck's get him some water. He's going back out by the third quarter. But Drake Lindsey, their redshirt freshman quarterback, looked pretty solid. He made a couple mistakes here there. Sailed some balls. The interception, not his fault. It's one of the craziest tip drills you're gonna see, where he throws it. Tight end falls down randomly,
off his foot.
Right into the hands of a UB linebacker. He looks good. What's their? I can't think of what their receiver's name is. The number 8, off the top of my head, I can't remember his name is. But he's looking good. And PJ Fleck said he reminds him a lot of Rondell Moore. And they got a young, talented team there. He's only 19. Drake Lindsey's only 20 as a redshirt freshman. So they got some players in Minnesota right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and Lori chiming in here. UB comes out hard every year. Just need a breakout player, especially on the offensive side of the ball this year. If somebody can break out, if Roberson can break out, but Red Murdoch is going to dominate that defense side of the ball.
Yeah.
They're going to be a problem for teams in the MAC. I was really impressed by Ohio and Buffalo, and honestly Miami last night too. Even though they couldn't get the offense going against Wisconsin on the road, that they played tough in that game. All those teams are expected to have big years in the MAC. So. And we have tomorrow, there's a couple more. We got Ball State and Purdue, which that's Purdue. Purdue is one of the worst teams in the Big Ten
this year. That's a true sickos Big Ten versus action. Purdue had one win last year against, I think it's like Northwestern State, and yes. Ball State had 3 wins last year, 2 of them in MAC play actually, so that's kind of impressive. But if you want to, it's 17.5 point spread. Man, Ball State might come out and do better than that. Honestly, I don't even know. It's that if you want a pure disgusting college football game to watch tomorrow, it's Ball State Purdue.
Oh, I've got one more disgusting one for you if you really want to get into it. How many points do you think Kent State is a favorite over Merrimack tomorrow, an FCS school?
At least
they are a favorite. That's not a trick question. They are a favorite.
I think 7.
It's less. They are 5-point favorites tomorrow at home against Merrimack. I will be the only. I guarantee the only person, maybe not the only person, one of the only people in the country that is going to be watching side by side Texas and Ohio State and Kent State and Merrimack, and be as invested into both at the same time. But that's. We don't need to talk too much about that. I just had to. I was just looking at the spreads quick, and I was like, 5 points. This is crazy. But all right. Eventually, I'm gonna have a little jingle, and I want to have a little more fun with this. But it's time, Mo. We're going down south here. We are going down south, and I'm using it for 2 games because we're down south for both these games. And Indiana, we could. They're a spiritual child of the South. I think at this point we could say that. Notre Dame at Miami. Sunday night matchup at Hard Rock Stadium. A lot of stakes here. Obviously, top 10 teams battling it out. It is a historic rivalry that has had a lot of different iterations here. And the most interesting thing is the new quarterbacks, I think, more than anything. Again, another edition where we're looking at the quarterbacks for these teams who are supposed to be potential national title contenders, but huge question marks and for different reasons. Notre Dame starting CJ Carr after having Riley Leonard and Sam Hartman the last couple years as the super senior transfers coming in from the ACC. Yeah. But now this is a whole different thing. And CJ Carr, if it works out, is more talented, at least arm talent wise, than Riley Leonard and Sam Hartman. He's got a huge arm. He's not going to be as mobile as Leonard. They're not going to run him as much, but they're not going to need to. Notre Dame's going to be able to run the ball no matter what. We know that their offensive and defensive line are really strong.
Jeremiah Love, one of the best running backs in the country, coming back.
Yeah.
But one of the conversations as Singleton and Katron,
Absolutely. He absolutely will be for all the running back awards by the end of the year and everything else. But the thing is with this game specifically, Notre Dame has a great offensive and defensive front. Miami is right there from everything you read and hear about this unit. And that's what Mario Cristobal does, right? Like Mario Cristobal, now a couple years in here at Miami, has been able to kind of build up that line to where he wants it. It's going to be a war in the trenches. And their quarterback situation, they brought out Carson Beck, the former Georgia quarterback, who kind of flamed out at the end of the year with his injury and just, life's a lot harder when you can't throw to Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. Those guys are both pretty damn good in the NFL right away. So I'm interested to see what Beck looks like this year. It's a lot less pressure, I feel like, at Miami than it is at Georgia, for one thing. But also, this might be their toughest game on the schedule, as tough as defense they play on the schedule too. And if he looks good at home against this team, Miami, a lot of people are going to be hyping up Miami for the rest of this season. So what is your early thoughts on this game?
It's with Carson Beckett's interesting because obviously we watched a lot of him at Georgia last year, last couple of years, and he's like an interesting quarterback because sometimes he would look like, okay, this is the dude who's living up to like his expectations of what he should be, and other times it's like this guy's never looked like he's like touched a football even before in his life. It's so I don't know. I would. It's interesting because Miami's turning over so much production that they had last year. Obviously, Cam Ward, who was Heisman front runner all of last season, first overall pick. And then they lost a lot of receiving production with Xavier Restrepo leaving and Elijah Aurora leaving, going to the NFL. Which I think both of them got cut though, so that's a tough beat for them.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw something that was Cam Ward was the only person of that offense not to get cut after coming into the NFL, so that's kind of interesting. But the running back is coming back? Sanders, correct?
Yes.
Top two rushers coming back from last year, so that's a big gain. 3 starting offensive linemen coming back, so Carson Beck at least is coming into a situation that has some support that he can build off of. With Carr obviously coming in, Jeremiah Love, one of the great running back, they're turning over. They're coming back with a solid offensive line, solid defense line. What Marcus Freeman's been able to do at Notre Dame, great. Obviously, an awesome recruiter. If you look at Twitter at all, X, whatever you want to call it, Notre Dame fans are bragging about how they're beating out Penn State for recruits all the time. Whatever, but his thing is doesn't have any starts. Doesn't really have any like game tape at all for him. And he's same thing from that 2024 class that we're talking about with Julian Sayin. Both these guys getting their first reps. I think he was the number 6 quarterback recruit in that class.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, number 6.
I know he's in the top 10 on different various.
Yeah, he was a top 10 recruit. So it's obviously like on paper, you're talking about his arm, better arm. Riley Leonard, I would never say was an elite passer. I don't think he would tell you he was an elite passer, but he was mobile and he could run and keep that offense chugging along. Just based off of that, and because it's in Miami, I'm going to go with them. A very close game, just because Carson Beck also has that more experience, and I know it's not always the best experience, but we've seen him shine in some big moments, and like at least like make games close, like that game against Alabama last year, which was awesome. He came back from being down so much. And this is still the guy who won an SEC championship last year against Texas, came into Texas and won. Obviously, that's heavily on the defense, but he wasn't making mistakes. He was helping to get it done. So I would go with Miami. Close. Like probably like 24-21. What's the over-under on this? Do you have it pulled up?
I don't have it right this second. I think it's low. I think it's also like 46, if I remember correctly.
So that's under still then. Yeah, like 24-21, something like that. It's a very close game, one-score game, I think, between these teams. Maybe even like 17-14, like something like that.
51.5, actually. A little bit higher, but.
But I think it's a one-score game. I'll say 20-17. I'll be different. That's my final one, 20-17.
I think I'm with you. I think Miami gets it done against Notre Dame. At just being home, Notre Dame is prime for one of these early season slip-ups most years. I think they'll be better with Carr later on in the year when he gets more comfortable. But just playing against that front in this Miami defense is going to be a challenge. I'm leaning Miami here. I think it's going to be. I'll go 24-23. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be an awesome game, awesome atmosphere on a Sunday night. But let's get to the headliner tomorrow night because we've got a battle of Death Valleys and a real interesting matchup for two national title hopefuls. LSU at Clemson, a home and home series. Clemson hosting the first matchup here. Cade Klubnik entering the season with some Heisman chatter behind him. They got a new defensive coordinator in Tom Allen to try to. I know how you feel about Tom Allen, but there's a lot of issues with that Clemson defense last year, so they're hoping that he can help out there. And then Garrett Nussmeier on the other side, his fifth year, who is a fifth-year quarterback who's a lot of dark horse Heisman buzz around him too. Depending on how this LSU team is a big. Honestly, there's people I see picking them to be like 6th or 7th in the SEC. I see people picking them to win the national championship. The talent's there. It's just about Brian Kelly kind of putting it all together. And as you have here, he has not won a season opener with LSU, and winning on the road at Death Valley is going to be a difficult task, especially against that defense, which has a guy returning, TJ Parker, 19 tackles for loss and 11 sacks last year. And that front is just, they're always loaded. It's always a loaded front. And now Clemson has been able to, they hated the transfer portal at first. Dabo was extremely against it. And now he's utilizing it smartly, I think. But they've stuck to their recruiting. They're still being able to recruit at a high level. This is a really formidable Clemson team. I'm just to lead off here, and there's a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball coming back for both these teams. Clemson's getting back their 3 leading receivers back. LSU is returning their leading rusher and their leading receiver. But it really comes down to Brian Kelly for me. That biggest thing. And just coaching against Dabo in this environment. It feels like Clemson, even though they're 4.5-point favorites, are going to act like they're the underdogs in this game. And Dabo is very good at that kind of motivation and getting those guys. They're going to be, juiced up and ready to go. I could see a scenario in this game where LSU starts slow, Clemson starts fast, where it's like 14-0 early, 17-0 early, and maybe LSU climbs its way back into it. But just the fact that it's on the road, week 1, and that defense, and just how nasty and loud it can get there, I just have to lean Clemson here. And I really did like what I saw from the end of the year from Cade Klubnik, and going into it this year, if he's going to live up to the hype, it's going to happen in this game. It has to start in this game, right? Like, this is Clemson's schedule is not, they're in the ACC compared to what, LSU has to deal with in the SEC. They have this LSU game. They play SMU, but really it's this game and then ending the season at South Carolina are the 2 biggest tests. They have a pretty easy road the rest of the way through the ACC there. So if they start off on the right foot here, Clemson could be a top 2 team for basically the remainder of the season, as long as they don't slip up. What are you thinking, though?
I think you touched on it briefly for a second. If you got to pick between Brian Kelly and Dabo Swinney, I'm picking Dabo Swinney every time. He is far away. He's a better coach. He's a better coach than Brian Kelly. He's won in these big moments more often than Brian Kelly has. Like you mentioned, Brian Kelly is coming into his 4th season at LSU. They have not won season opener yet, which is just a crazy stat. Interesting stat, though, I will say about Brian Kelly is that they talked about with Saban and Ed Orgeron, both those guys, their 4th seasons is when they won national championships. Yep. So, that's a fun stat to just throw out there, but I also think both those guys probably better than Brian Kelly too. Well, obviously Saban is, but I think you got to go with better coach team, and it's at home. I don't think Garrett Nussmeier is necessarily bad, but I think a lot of those, like his passing yards, he is the most productive returning quarterback in college football in terms of passing yards. I think a lot of it's a little bit of empty stats, honestly, in some games. Failing out with these SEC teams that they either came away with losses, but he had high yards in, or it's games where, sure, you showed up, but it's like it wasn't against a good team. Necessarily, I think LSU's best win last year was against South Carolina, and that game was like had some moments where it was like kind of up for like, I don't know, should this have gone LSU's way even? I don't know. Clemson, they're just, perennially running the ACC. Nothing. No one can really like stand up against them in that sense. You said they play SMU again. They beat SMU last year.
Yep.
And it's just returning talent. You return your 3 leading receivers, Antonio Williams, who's a stud. You got to go with Clemson and Cade, who I had doubts on. Early in his career, I didn't think he was all that, but he's showing a natural progression each year that he's been in college football. He's a great athlete. You'll see him take off and run. I think he was their 2nd leading rusher on the team last year. And you can tell he's got poise. He looks confident when he's out there playing in these games. And they took Texas to a standstill last year in that 1st round playoff game. And that's a Texas team that was, in the semifinal and was 10 points away from being in the national, competing for a national championship. So I just go Clemson because it's at home. I think the spread, honestly, I think they're going to win by more than 4.5. I would say I could see this game. I think this game is going to be a little bit more explosive than the other ones we've been talking about. like 30, 34, no, 35-21. That's what I'll say.
Okay, yeah, I definitely think there's going to be let me check the spread on this too, or the over under on this too, but I definitely think there's going to be some more fireworks here alongside with you. 57.5 is the over under there. So yeah,
I would take the over.
Vegas is
Yeah.
expecting it too.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it just hits that 28-21 Clemson. I think that's where I'm going with here. I think that
So that's
this
not
is
hitting the over. That's 49.
Oh wait, yeah, I can't do math. Yeah, so not hitting the over. But
I'm gonna say 30. I'm gonna say 35-28. That gets the over.
Okay, there you go. You get the over.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to 28-21. I'm sticking with it. I do think there are some big plays, some big chunks here. I think the defense. I think there's some big. The defensive lines make their impact as well. I just don't trust Brian Kelly in this environment with LSU yet, and until he proves it, especially in a game like this, especially because I really do like this Clemson team this year too. I think that they get it done. So there, any other?
That's the thing. A lot of people talk about this Clemson team that they should be like. Obviously, they are ranked 4. A lot of them people saying they should have been 2, or even that they should have been 1. A lot of people were saying,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep, it's very true. The other matchups we should at least touch on, and I mentioned it earlier, is the debut of Bill Belichick
on Monday night
against TCU. What I don't even know what to expect. I guess we're just gonna sit down and watch it as a family and just figure it out. Like America, I mean, watch it as a family and see what the hell this looks like.
For a second, I said probably like 15 million people are gonna watch Texas Ohio State. How many viewers is that Monday night game gonna get just for the pure spectacle? It's Bill Belichick's first game in college football. Like, is that gonna be like 10 million people are gonna watch that game on Monday night?
It might be,
like,
especially if it ends up like a good game like later on, and people tune in word of mouth later on. Like,
another game. Talk about quick. Virginia Tech, South Carolina.
Yeah,
is a Sunday 3:30 game. A South Carolina ranked Virginia Tech, always a entertaining team to check out for. So I think that's a nice double header of games on Sunday. Honestly, is that gets you into Miami. But Bill Belichick, I don't know who's their quarterback. I don't even know who they got.
I don't know what's going on. I can't say that I'm the expert on the the UNC team.
They got somebody to transfer in. I know that.
I believe
can't remember
so.
Who it is.
Let me see here.
It's
UNC quarterback Gio Lopez won the starting job. I believe he transferred in from South Alabama, from USA. So it is a new guy. Won the starting back competition. Beat out Max Johnson, who was the starter last year, and 4-star Bryce Baker, the recruit who just came in. So what else is going on in Chapel Hill? Jordan Hudson filed for the trademark Gold Digger. So that's where we're at with
I did see that.
UNC,
there's also some good.
Bill.
There's some good ones that they also have though. There's Chapel Bill,
the Bellustrator, the Bellustrator. It's a good one.
The Belichick
Maniac
way.
was talking about these earlier. There was something else. Yeah, I don't remember, but
there was one that was kind of like offensive. I thought I can't remember. I thought it was one that was like, I don't know if you should say that, but
it's just
Chapel
crazy
Bill,
that
Chapel Bill is a good one. I will say that
Chapel Bill's great. Chapel Bill's great. It's wild that we got here, like that Belichick in the NFL, like he couldn't get a job back in the NFL, which is wild to me that no one wanted to touch him. But that whatever happened with him and Robert Kraft was clearly like owners were like, we ain't dealing with this shit anymore. And now he's out and we don't want to get
involved in that drama.
Yeah, and he's still like he still has something to prove. And he's just a competitive guy. Like that's really what it comes down to. And he has a chance.
Does he finish the season?
Oh yeah, I think he's finishing the season here. Now, will it be a 1-year song and dance? Very, very possible. Very possible.
Season prediction. What do you got?
6-6.
6-6.
I can't expect them to be like a good
8-4. I was just saying 8-4. So not like elite, not great, not sniffing playoff, not sniffing ACC title, but bowl eligible. Another game that we should mention. Tomorrow, Georgia Tech, Colorado.
Going on right now.
See, I'm off.
No Ralphie.
Oh, that's weird.
Right? No Ralphie. Ralphie.
First Colorado game under Deion without Shedeur and without Travis Hunter. So
Ralphie's 6. They retired him because he didn't want to run. Basically, had issues trying to get him to run.
I feel that
tough for Ralphie. So exactly. So Ralphie 7 is getting ready, but he's not ready for the start of the season.
He's not ready yet.
So they ran onto the field without Ralphie tonight. I picked them as my DDZ pick of the day, then changed that after I heard that information. Couldn't in good faith trust them, and they're up 7-3 right now in the.
Okay. Did you hear about Deion? What Deion said happens in the second quarter every game?
Yeah, all the students are smoking weed. I feel like it's not just the second quarter. It's probably the whole game in Boulder. Honestly, he's just.
I guess it must be second quarter. Maybe it's when he always smells it. Yeah.
Maybe it's a tradition they light one up right at the start of the second quarter, though. That could be a student.
He's like it's first commercial break, and he's like, oh, and he's like, that's I'm getting it every time. So
he takes it in. Back to UNC quick. This game against TCU. We'll learn a lot, but then they play Charlotte. Who's supposed to be decent this year, but they're at Charlotte. But you would hope they would win that. Richmond, and then they play at UCF, who is shaping up to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12. So they theoretically could start 4-0 if things are okay, and then their 5th game of the year hosting Clemson. That's where we'll really find a lot about the Tar Heels. But
early game day prediction. Early game.
Oh, that'll be game day for sure. People are up in arms about game day next week being Oklahoma, Michigan, when Kansas and Missouri renewing their rivalry was there for the taking for ESPN, and I'm kind of in agreement. It's a big rivalry game. I know it's big brands and everything else, but who cares about Michigan?
The Jordan brands, 2 of the non-UNC teams that have Jordan brands.
That's true. That's probably why they're doing this game as much as anything. But Kansas and Missouri next week, that should have been, that was a layup.
Border war.
I work with a Missouri grad and a KU grad, and a couple weeks ago we were on a train ride, and they both figured that out, and the shit talking that commenced, a man and a woman too. Not two dudes, not two women, just pure hatred for each other's schools. It was a beautiful thing to see, honestly. Like I was a proud college football fan, college basketball fan, college sports fan in that moment. They were just chucking the chirps back and forth, talking about games that they had won against each other in the various sports. It was great. It was awesome. So the rivalry's alive and well.
I love it.
But hey, we're here. We're back. Saturday, we kick off with the biggest game of the year to start the college football season. So lock in for noon, Texas at Ohio State, and then stay for the whole day. And we'll be here all season previewing all the biggest games of the college football season. But for Alex Majka, this is Jake Majka. For Not Here to Play School, have a great night, folks.